さて今回のポケモンはピカチュウ。そう、二度キングじゃな。
Welcome to episode 2 of the GrindCast. If you haven't seen the first episode with Pedantic Romantic, it's a podcast where I take all of my useless grind footage and put it as a backdrop for a Pokemon discussion. It's pretty rad. Joining me today is Shonen Boy himself, Mathwiz97. Before we, came onto this podcast, we discussed a little bit of how Pokemon has us by the balls. How did that start for you? How did it get a grasp down there?
Well, I first got in. My first Pokemon game was, it was Pokemon Sapphire. I think I started. I don't even remember how I really got into it. Like, it was just a game, because I already had the Game Boy Advance, and it was just like a game that, my mom just got me one time, and then shortly after that, I got into, whether it was Fire Red or Leaf Green, I don't remember. It was one of the two, but it was just like starting out with those two games, and it was around the time where I was just, I think it was like maybe, it was either like kindergarten or first grade, just when I was starting to like interact with other people too. So it served as like that point of connecting with other people, because I was always a really shy kid, so just being like, hey, talk about Pokemon, it was just a good way to get into conversations.
Yeah, it does have that ability to just, like, everyone loves it, and it just, you make friends over it. It's one of the few, I was talking about this on Twitter with the commercial that came out for Pokemon Tournament. It's like all these people, strangers, gathering together and playing Pokemon. It's like every other franchise that does this, it's a fake, absurd notion to say that would happen in real life, except for Pokemon. It actually happens all the time. Everyone loves it. Everyone did love it, too.
I thought it was interesting, well, at least not just with that commercial, but like they did it with Sun and Moon as well, where it's almost like the focus of the commercial isn't even like really the game, it's just about like the idea of Pokemon and how like how it brings everyone together. Like each little advert crafts like its own narrative. Like the one that they did for Sun and Moon was really cool, how it was just like the kid traveling the world. I don't know, it's just something that I don't think many franchises could pull off, but Pokemon does it.
The spirit of it.
Yeah,
that spirit of just talking to people, traveling. That's why Pokemon Go is like the greatest thing ever, because it captured it in real life and everyone bought in. I'm the same as you, where like I don't remember asking for Fire Red, but it was there Christmas morning. You know, it was just there, and that was my life for the next 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely sympathize with that.
I mean, I definitely started my Pokemon love with all my brother's stuff. So Red and Blue, his trading cards, his stuff. But like my first game as a human, like my own game, was Fire Red. Ruby and Sapphire I didn't get till later. But that one's like I think the perfect game to start with, because it's not as janky and horrible as the original Red and Blue, but still is Red and Blue.
So it's like you're a Gen 1er without actually being a Gen 1er.
I am, and that's the funny thing is like I have more attachment to the 150 original still. Somehow I hit the right bell curve in time, because you black and white with your new 150, get out of here. That's not Pokemon.
Yeah, I got both around the same time. I don't think I got them both at the same time, but I really can't remember like if I got Sapphire or either it was Fire Red or Leaf Green. I want to say Leaf Green, but I remember having them for the longest time. Those were my only two games, and I just played them like all the time. But I'm pretty sure I got Sapphire first, but it was just those two games were my childhood up until the DS came out. It was just those games were my life.
Yeah, it was like a group of friends. We'd bring Pokemon over, complete the decks, trade the Leaf. Someone always had Leaf Green. It wasn't me. I was a Fire Red boy. The other nerds had Leaf Green. Yeah, screw them. I hope you had Fire Red. Did you have Fire Red?
I really think it was Leaf Green, and I didn't get Fire Red until later.
What a mistake. You got to get that Charizard.
But yeah, I always remember I went to like this after-school program where it's just like, basically if your parents had work or whatever, it was just a place for kids to hang out until they could pick you up from school or whatever. So there was like a group of people who I met through there who were like my first like real close friends, and we would always like, we were always playing Pokemon, or we had like the trading cards. I'm pretty sure that we never played the trading card game accurately. I don't remember how we would
Never.
do it. We just make stuff up, but
Never.
I mean, it was
never.
always a fun time.
you never played the trading card game accurately. You just, oh, the art's cool. Oh, this one's shiny. Let's trade between each other.
Yeah.
Did you watch the anime, or was that ever happen? Was that a part of your life?
The anime actually wasn't as big of a part of my Pokemon experience as it is with most people. I do remember watching some of the original anime, but I didn't really ever watch it like weekly as it was airing until I think I can remember watching a lot of the early Diamond and Pearl stuff. That was really the first that I got actually into keeping up with the anime, but because I remember the
first season we're talking
first
about.
season,
you missed out on that.
Yeah, I missed out on like actually watching it, but I know that I had definitely at least seen a few episodes of it, but it wasn't something that like I kept up with. I don't think I've ever really seen the complete first season of the anime, but I know I've seen a fair amount of it, but it's just yeah. I mean, what I've seen of it so far is pretty good. It's just a matter of actually, I guess, sitting down to catch up on it on top of everything else that I'm doing at the moment.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
you don't have time for another 200 episodes showed.
Well, the time that I actually got into the anime, I remember. I think most of how I saw the original anime was when they were hyping up on Cartoon Network. They were hyping up the new Diamond and Pearl stuff, so they like marathoned all the Pokemon episodes, and so I
remember this specific marathon because like I think I had my sister like tape it on VHS, and it was like the greatest thing ever for me. I'm like, how does this exist? Just Pokemon all day. I remember this because then I started watching Diamond and Pearl, and the thing with Diamond and Pearl is it takes like 40 episodes to get past one gym, and I dropped it.
Yeah, I don't remember how far I got into it. I just remember that was the real first time that I got like into the anime. Like I would see certain reruns on Cartoon Network, but it wasn't that I actually was keeping up with it. There's a new episode coming out on this day at this time. I gotta be there for it.
You're a Game Boy. You're on the Game Boy. That's in both sense. You're a handboy Game Boy, so that's where you live. That's mostly where I am too. I wouldn't say I followed it as closely as a kid. First season, I don't know if this is the same for you. I just have like such an intense nostalgia that I could be brought to tears upon thought of the series back then. Like.
Oh, I mean, it was interesting how Digibro brought it up in his recent video where he's talking about like anime visuals, and like honestly, that's one of those shows where like the visuals, like I never even considered that like they were bad just because like it wasn't even really a concern. It's just like, oh, look at all these cool Pokemon, and this is funny. These characters are funny, and
yeah, no, definitely. So you have Sapphire, you have Leaf Green, and that goes on for a while. Do you? Is that all you partake in, or do you become a Pokemon boy and have merchandise all over your room, plushies, everything like that too? Is that how big it is?
I did have a few little like collectible items, but for the most part, I was really just like the video games and the trading card game. That's just how I've been with most things. I don't really collect a lot of stuff. I probably had like some stuffed animals that I have since lost. The only thing I think I still have, I think I have like a Pikachu sitting around here somewhere, and maybe like a Badoo of all things. But I can remember having certain little toys or accessories. I remember the J-Wits was recently going through all the different Pokemon Master Trainer board games, and I think I had like the third one of that. So I have that. At least I did. It's a matter of where has all this stuff gone. But for the most part, at least of what I still have, it was mainly just like the video games. That was mostly what made like a big impact on me. But it wasn't necessarily just like
is your favorite starters just in those first two games?
Yeah. Man, because I had two real. I'd say there were like two real eras of Pokemon in my childhood. There was the Game Boy, which was the Ruby Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green stuff. But then there was also the DS era, which had, because I played, as much as I played Ruby Sapphire and Fire Red Leaf Green, I played, probably, I would almost say that I played even more, like I dumped even more time into Diamond and Pearl. More specifically, Pearl was the one that I owned. I can remember like over the summer just kind of marathoning that game, and I've reset my save file on that so many times. So it's really tough to pick a favorite starter, because I really love the Gen 1 starters. I really love the Gen 3 starters, but then like even like I think more specifically Empoleon, like that whole lineage was a real standout to me in the Diamond and Pearl days. So it's really tough, because like I mean there's just so many good ones in that selection. There's just so many good starters in general. It's really tough to pick a favorite. Maybe I'll come up with a list someday.
I heard a little bit in there, a little sentence saying you reset your save file a bunch of times. So you are also a person who just wants to build a team in the story. Once you delete 4, restart, and then build a new team with new Pokemon. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That was how I played for the longest time.
That's how you play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine how many times I reset my save files on those. Although now like my Pearl save file I've had for years now, because just like once I kind of like I own basically all the Pokemon games after like the DS release. So like if I want to reset the save file and start again, I'll reset my Diamond and I just transfer all my Pokemon to Pearl. So I was able to kind of work around it that way. So it's like I'm resetting, but at the same time I'm saving the memories by putting them in this other game.
Dude, are we the same person? Am I talking to a clone right now? Because that's literally the only way you should be playing Pokemon. None of this competitive. You can play that, but like what I love about it is like the relationship of the team you're building from scratch. Like that's fun. Like that you're growing with them as a trainer, and the story doesn't even matter. It's just the fact that it's happening.
Yes, exactly. Like even when the Pokemon games have a lackluster story, which I mean, Pokemon I guess I wouldn't say has like the greatest storylines all the time, but I mean it's not even really about that. It's just like going through all the gyms and putting together this team. It really is just you are forming bonds with your team, and then especially like around that age where I'm still playing against other people. It's like you're putting that team up against somebody else, and if you win that battle, then it's like you've just gone through war with these partners of yours, and it's like, well, that's a memory with this team, and it's like you don't want to lose that.
Yes, you know what? Me and Lachlan talked ad nauseum about guidebooks, but another thing I would do with them is the Pokedex guidebooks. Like I would flip through furiously, like, what should my 6 be before I even start the game? So I'm like putting sticky notes on like, okay, so I'm doing Sceptile. Okay, let me do Flygon here. Let me get a Claydol or whatever. Like I would plan it out feverishly at like a 7-year-old. Just who have I not used? Who would be underused but still kind of cool to use? Who's good? Who's like a hidden gem? Like I was frantic about this. This one aspect of it is restarting and then replaying it from scratch again.
That's actually something that I never really did. Like I didn't set out a team in advance. I think I would often find myself playing with a lot of the same Pokemon. Like I'd mix a few up here and there, but I'd always have like, I don't know, we'll say like a Pelipper or something, just because like flying water, that's a cool typing, or that type of thing. But it's not that I wasn't trying to use different things, but it's never like I actually planned it out in advance. That's more so the mindset that I've been having now when I go back and play it. Is like, well, I did all this the same way for so long. I should try to mix this up, see if I can get a different enjoyment out of this game.
It's really weird because it's like I find myself often like, oh, that game's really long. That's a lot of time. Will I be able to invest? But like Pokemon, I will without second thought just restart the game from zero and play it again immediately after beating it, without even like, whoa, that's going to take a long time. I don't even think of the hours when it comes to Pokemon. It's just like, oh, I'm playing Pokemon, so I'm happy.
I know at least one of my Pearl save file has at least like over 200 some odd hours into it, and that's after considering that I reset it I don't know how many times. But it's just it is crazy how much time you can invest in this game, especially at such a young age where you're really not doing anything else and just not even bat an eye at it. Like right now I bought Pokemon. I bought both Pokemon Sun and Moon when they first came out, and
Me too.
I still have barely played it just because, like, I guess with going to college and then trying to get my YouTube channels off the ground, it's just like I haven't found the time to put into it yet, because I feel like if I'm especially with video games, I feel like if I'm playing something and not making videos, then that's time I could be spent making videos. So I guess that's a bit of a negative, is that I haven't really played Sun and Moon yet, but back in the day it was just, dump all this time into this game, and who really cares? It's just for having fun.
I'm still the same, because Sun and Moon came out, bought both, dropped everything, and played through Sun twice, Moon once, because I saved, that one's like my safe one, and I completed the Pokedex in Moon.
Oh, that is...
that was 2 weeks of my life. It was just Pokemon.
That's something that I've actually...
We're in DS. We're in DS, right?
We're in
still?
DS, yeah.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So you get Pearl, right?
Yeah, so actually what had happened was my transition to DS actually was an accident. It wasn't actually something that was planned or anything, because I had the Game Boy Advance, which I actually still have it on me. It's like not backlit. That's one thing that it's one of the things that fascinates me, is just like the transition from the Game Boy to really, I guess, even just the Game Boy SP, because you had that button you could hit to make it backlit, and it blew my mind as a kid. Like all these kids now, they've got their 3DSs, which have 3D, and it's all backlit and everything, and they just don't even consider that, like, they didn't used to be backlit. Like it wasn't like that before.
True.
Like I still have the little attachment for like the flashlight for the Game Boy
the little book
Advance.
reader light, that hooks over. No,
Yeah.
I remember, like, these kids don't know. Try getting through Rock Tunnel with no backlight, okay, and no flash. I want to see you try that as a kid. Like, there's no way.
But
I
I had the Game Boy Advance, and then I got the Game Boy SP. I had a little red one. So I was using that for a while. And one day I brought it to school with me, and I set it. We had these little this was, I don't know, 3rd, 4th grade maybe, and like our chairs, we had these little pouch things. Like you drape them over the chair, and then at the back of it you can put stuff in, like books and whatnot.
Okay.
So I had gone to lunch or something, and I set my SP in the little thing, and when I came back, or at the end of the day or whatever, when I went to pull it out, the screen had gotten shattered. Like all the pixels were destroyed, because I guess, I don't know, somebody must have backed their chair into it or something. And I was crushed. I was heartbroken. This was the worst day of my life, because I lost this thing, and I was so sad. But if that hadn't happened, my mom had offered to replace it. She said she'd get me another one. So she said, okay, do you want this Pikachu themed Game Boy SP, or do you want this Nintendo DS? And at the time, I had no foresight, no knowledge of well, what does everything's moving to the DS. I didn't know that at the time, but I figured, well, let's go with the DS, because I already had the SP. I figure, well, I think I kind of had an idea that things were going that way, but it wasn't really something that I had considered. I think it was just because some of my other friends had gotten one.
This is the DS that could also play Game Boy Advance games, right?
Yes. This was one of my friends had the original DS, the big bulky one.
Yeah.
I ended up getting one, the DS Lite, which is the smaller one. Yeah.
Which is awesome, by the way. Backwards compatibility on a handheld.
Yes,
anyway.
it bothered me so much, because I also have I have a Mario themed, what is it? It's the DS Lite XL, and it doesn't have backwards compatibility. And I'm like, why? Why would you take that away? I was so heartbroken about that, but I still have my old DS Lite. It's destroyed. The bottom screen is just broken beyond repair because of some of the, I mean, I can still use it, but some of the games that I played, like Pokemon Ranger, where you have to slide the stylus around and you have to do it really fast. So at some point I must have gone overboard, because it's all scratched up. So every time I try to touch the touch screen, my clicker is slightly off from where I'm actually touching, because it's just destroyed. But it's a wonderful piece of machinery. It's my baby.
So how long did this Diamond and Pearl era last, and what's your opinion on Gen 4 in general?
everyone says that Gen 4 is like the slower generation because, I mean, it really is like the way that everything moves. It's just a really slow moving generation. But I still look at it like if I had to rank my favorite generations, it's obviously Hoenn is number one because that was my original. That's the one I grew up on. But then right behind it would be Diamond and Pearl because I dumped, if not the same amount of time, I dumped more time into that. Which is why, like, if you told me to pick a favorite starter, it's really tough because Gen 3 has some good ones, but Empoleon easily the standout from Gen 4. I don't know. I think that Hoenn, for me personally, I think has the best Pokemon overall, like as an entire roster. But then I feel like Gen 4 is pretty good as well, just because, like, I don't know, it just has all that nostalgia to it. So this era, I think, went on from, like, I got Pearl in, like, 2007, and that went, the DS era actually went on for probably until about 2011, because it was right around when Black and White came out that I started losing interest, and I kind of fell into what I call the dark ages of middle school, where I just kind of lost interest in Pokemon for like a year or two.
Yeah, no, Diamond and Pearl is where I start my, because before that, I'm just with my friends in Pokemon. Diamond and Pearl is where I'm on the internet with Pokemon fandom. When does that, do you have stories like that? Are you part of the community online as well?
The internet, like, my history with Pokemon on the internet really didn't take off until I think around X and Y. Like, it was around the like, I think the first real Pokemon YouTuber I found was J-Wits, and that was back in, I think, 2011 or 2012. But I didn't actually get into, like, watching Let's Plays or whatnot until I think my first, like, the real point where I considered myself like a part of the internet Pokemon community was around the time when Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity came out. So that was like 3DS era. So I completely missed the trick on that with the DS. I was way late on that.
I probably 2008. I think I entered the Pokemon online fandom, and that's back when there was no DS modded DS to record. Kids just got in the room and put a camcorder in front of their DS and then played the game. And we were hype. We were hype. Every episode is the greatest Let's Play ever. I can't believe this is real. Chugga Conroy, Super Skarmory. That's like my era of it. And it's just after. But then I left, so all this X and Y stuff I'm not there for. This is me entering back into Pokemon fandom. This podcast, really.
Yeah, it was actually the opposite for me because Black and White was around the time where I fell off of Pokemon. Like, my friends had stopped playing it, and because I was in middle school now, I wasn't doing this like after school thing anymore because they didn't have that anymore. So I wasn't interacting with people as much, and when I did, it was like during classes or whatever. So, like, I didn't have that same outlet to really continue to foster my love for Pokemon. And it was around the time when Black and White came out. I can remember buying both games like immediately as they were released, but I never really played them. And I actually I gave one of them away to one of my friends because I was like, well, I'm not gonna play this. And the other one I think I ended up returning. So a couple of years back, once I got back into Pokemon, I went out and bought both of those games, and I got either Black or White too. I have one of them sitting there, and I also had another. I don't remember which came out first, if it was Black and White or if it was. I think Heart Gold, Soul Silver came out first because I had a copy of that too. I think I made it like halfway through the game, and then I just kind of stopped, and I ended up picking back up on that like 2 years later or whatever. But then when X and Y came around, that's when I got back into it, because this was when I was starting to get into Pokemon on the internet. And so all the hype for X and Y, it's a new Pokemon game on a new console with new visuals, and I was just mind blown because like I hadn't been exposed to all this like internet hype for the new game before. So X and Y was like my resurgence, I guess, with the Pokemon the Pokemon games. So that's when I really got back into it.
Yeah, I think Gen 4, like my heart, like the emotion sits with Gen 3 the most. But Gen 4 seems to be objectively the best when it comes to the games, like story-wise at least. You have Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like literally probably maybe the hidden best Pokemon game in the main series. You have Platinum, which Platinum has probably the best options of Pokemon to choose for your team, has the most variety to it, and also added like 20 new evolutions, which they have yet to do again, which they need to already existing Pokemons, which just was the coolest thing ever. Like Yon Mega and Licky Licky, he's cool. I don't want to hear it.
Electivire was one of my favorites.
Those two were. That's the thing. Platinum was like cool. It was the cool kids game. That's the one I really fell in love with. Is Platinum. That's probably the most into Pokemon. That's the peak of my Pokemon fandom is Platinum. I would just play that against people online more than any other game ever. You can get Scizor in the main story, like, and he's actually good, not like in Gen 2 where he's not very good in the game because Gen 2 is really unbalanced. So I've had enough. Gen 4 objectively I think is the best looking too. It has the just most pleasing visuals, and then the just the best games in its lineup as well, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, especially like when you got to some of the environments, like Snow Point, for example. Like you had places like that in previous games where there was kind of like weather involved, but I think that one was like where it really like, you had the lighting changes, you had the environment where you could get like stuck in snow drifts, and maybe that aggravates some people because it makes the game slower. But I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. No.
Here's the thing though. Like it's I talked about a little bit. I was in the spriting community, and I miss sprites. I don't think the 3D models are just as visually striking. They're just they feel pale. They feel kind of just like round. Where the Gen 4 is the best sprites of the whole series, and I just the whole look of them. All of them look great. They're all perfect too. No, there's no weird looking ones either. It's perfect. No, bring them back, please.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a bit of a disconnect with the new visuals. Like X and Y, it was cool like first getting into it, but now just kind of looking at it, it's not that like I'd say it's bad, but it's just it's change, and I don't like change.
No, never.
It doesn't feel the same.
Stop it. We zoomed past. I know. I want to let you go off on these games. I want to let you I just want everything you love about them out here. We zoomed past GameCube. We zoomed past the GameCube entries of Pokemon, Colosseum, and XD Gale of Darkness. Now, these are games I had both as a kid. I never, they were too different for me to like. But you, what convinced you to fall in love with these games?
Oh, well, I mean, just hearing you and Pedantic talk about it last week was just, or not last week, but last episode, rather. It was, I don't know, I felt like I just connected so strongly because it was, like, almost literally my story. I got into Gale of Darkness. Here's the crazy thing. The reason why I got into Gale of Darkness, how I just got into the GameCube as a whole, was because, for one of my birthdays, I don't remember which one it was, but my mom got me the Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness themed GameCube, and the game came with it. So that was like my treasure, or at least it is now. It's my treasure.
That's pretty rare too. It's not even that's pretty rare GameCube.
It is. I've got an interesting heel turn about that later on, but let me actually talk about the games before I get to that.
Build up. Let's build there.
Yeah. So. Gale of Darkness, this was actually my experience with that game. I don't know, I wouldn't ever say that Pokemon games were ever scary, but like at that age, the way that like the plot was different and just the visuals and everything, it did kind of give me like a little bit of fear, because like there was some darker environments, and especially there's a part in the storyline where you've got your snag machine, and these guys just like ambush you and steal your snag machine. I was like, oh my god, it was, I don't know. I just think it's not too different from the Pokemon formula, because you've still got, kind of like the hero coming out at the end, at least in Gale of Darkness. I think Colosseum took a bit of... I think Colosseum did some things differently, but I didn't get into Colosseum until... I actually didn't own Colosseum until very recently when I bought it to do a playthrough of it on my gaming channel, my wrestling channel. So that's really like... I haven't uploaded it all yet, but I recently finished it, and I think it's tough to say, because I think story-wise, I think Colosseum does it better. I think just like the idea of the protagonist is really cool, because it's not your typical young boy who leaves home who to set out on his Pokemon adventure. He's like this. He's a part of like Team Snag'em, these like convicts or whatever. Like he's not really a hero. He's more of the anti-hero, and I think Colosseum does a bit more to differentiate from the typical Pokemon formula. I also think the idea of snagging Pokemon and the fact that you start out at like level 30 or whatever, it's in a way it's almost like the anti-Pokemon game, because usually it's about building your way up. But with Colosseum, you're like already established, and you're not, the protagonist is atypical for a Pokemon game, and then you're catching other people's Pokemon, which you don't really have to train. It's almost like they ask you to, instead of, because recently when I did my playthrough of Gale of Darkness, I stuck with the same team for the majority of it, and by the time I got to the end of the game, I was getting stomped because I didn't do any like grinding, and I wasn't like, I was still snagging these other Pokemon, but I struggled with it because like the level curve just gets ridiculous. Like they want you to catch these other Pokemons and keep changing your team, which is, it might not necessarily be the Pokemon formula that I love, but it's definitely different. And for the fact that it still carries the Pokemon label, it still feels like an immersive Pokemon game. It's got its own universe. Like the last Nintendo console, like not the handhelds, but the last console I bought was the Wii, and I didn't really have much to say about the Wii, but like if Nintendo would make another Pokemon game like Gale of Darkness or Colosseum, not even necessarily in the same universe, but just the idea of a different adventure with different conventions, I would totally buy the Nintendo Switch just for that, because I thought those two games were incredible. But Gale of Darkness, I had only played that one. I don't think I ever finished it until I recently did my playthrough of it. But I remember like resetting that game multiple times, just going back to, I think, the same point where I must have gotten stuck or something. But yeah, I think, and also the fact that it's also Gen 3, which is my generation. So it's got all the great Pokemon. I never owned a Gen 2 game until Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which was well after I got Colosseum. So there were all these other Pokemon that I didn't know, because it also has some Gen 2 stuff in it. So I don't know. Yeah, I just thought the way everything was combined, with the story, the mechanics, everything was just great.
With the new announcement of Gen 2 coming to Virtual Console and 3DS will be my first opportunity to play it legally in my life, so that is a good thing. I've never owned them. I have ROM'd them, though. So, my vague memories of both those games, because I got them both. I can't help, like, especially if it has Pokemon. I was telling you this earlier. If it has Pokemon in the title, I'm going to buy it, sometimes twice. So, I grew up on 64 and 64, which had a ton of Pokemon spin-offs, and a lot of them are like deep within my soul. Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 have both. Gold cartridge, it's such a cool thing that they made the cartridge gold for Stadium 2. Pokemon Snap, it's one of those. Colosseum, and I think I was expecting that type of video game, and then it was like the story thing with weird mechanics that I didn't quite understand, because I've only played like 2 games my whole life pretty much up until this point, Pokemon and Smash Brothers. So it's like I'm not versed in that kind of game before, so I got frustrated. It was less cute, I guess. I don't know. I gave up, and I have vague memories of Gale of Darkness, which is you start in like a laboratory, right? Yeah, when you start with a laboratory.
Yeah.
Am I right about that? Am I right about that, Mathwiz? You start in like a laboratory in Gale of Darkness?
Yeah, you start in the lab with the professor, and they kidnap the professor, and you got to go save him.
See, I think I bought Colosseum. I didn't like the gimmick of trying to like convince the Pokemon essentially to be on your side, and I thought Gale of Darkness wasn't going to be like that for some reason, and when it was, I think I got upset again and quit on both. I have yet to play either one as an adult, so maybe I would like them now. But I don't have the games anymore, unfortunately. I was naive, and I probably sold them because they were not like Pokemon, and I don't like that.
Oh, you want to talk about selling stuff? So here's where this heel turn comes in.
Heel turn.
So I had this Gale of Darkness themed GameCube, and this was getting around the point where I started losing interest in Pokemon. It was
you better
no. Release, like 2011. So because I had no foresight, because I was an idiot. I had all these GameCube games that I wasn't playing. I had this console I wasn't playing. So I went to my local game store and I sold it. And I got the worst part is that I think I got maybe like the only real thing of worth that like I got from it was I think the memory cards. Like I gave away the controllers, the games, the system, the memory cards, everything. And I didn't regret it for a while. It was only until until X and Y got me back into Pokemon, and I started doing Pokemon videos on YouTube that I was like, be real nice to have that GameCube right now. And especially because it was like Gale of Darkness, and it was like a birthday gift, and I feel so sour on it now, which is why.
Even better with the GameCube is you can play Game Boy Advance games on it too.
Yeah,
it's like the greatest console ever for YouTube, because that's how I'm recording my Emerald Nuzlocke, is playing the real game, the cartridge, on the GameCube, and then I'm getting the capture footage from it. It's literally the best console ever. I mean, the fact that you can do that. There's no Wii peripheral for DS. Only for GameCube does it have Game Boy Advance compatibility.
Yeah, I don't remember if there would have been like a cable that came with the original GameCube, but it's just like the idea of getting rid of it. It's just I really hate myself for it. It's one of the, like, if I had to rank like the top 5 biggest regrets in my life, that would be up there. That would be probably like top 3, because it was just, I got like nothing for it. I think I maybe got like $15 for the whole thing,
no.
And that was mainly just for the memory cards. So I did go back and re-buy it recently. I looked it up on Amazon, and it cost me like $200-something, but I was like, you know what? I don't care. I need to correct my mistakes. So I went back and bought it for the ludicrous price, and that was even used.
Wait,
that was
you rebought the Gale of Darkness Special Edition GameCube?
Yeah, but I even like used, it was like the $200. So thank God it works, and I've had no issues with it. And I rebought the Gale of Darkness game. I bought Coliseum for the first time. And that's really all I have in my GameCube collection now. But I'm just so glad to have it back now. So like even if it was like broken and it didn't work, like at least I'd still have the little keepsake of having the Gale of Darkness GameCube. It was one of the worst decisions of my life.
I love the GameCube. It has a lot of my favorite games on it, but see, if any games I didn't like that were resold, most of which were my brother's fault because he's the one who got the games for it. It was his GameCube, except for the Pokemon ones. That was my fault. I sold them back. How expensive are they?
Like the games?
Yeah.
They were, I think I got a used copy of each one. I think they were like, I would want to say somewhere between like $60 and $100, but that was off Amazon. Because I know getting them new, they're pretty pricey. But it was my mistake, so I had to pay for it now.
The heel turn of a century.
Yeah, but like at least like I agree. I think the GameCube is probably my favorite console of all time. Like between that and I think the PlayStation 2, those were like the two consoles that I invested the most time in. At least I still have my original PlayStation 2 because it wasn't really mine. I wasn't the one who bought it.
That's the one you kept. The console that's super cheap and easy to buy now.
yeah, but of course the GameCube, and because it was this super special one, I'll never forgive myself for that. Like at least I bought it now, so I can be at peace with it. But there's always still going to be that lingering. You shouldn't have done that.
No, I appreciate the determination to rebuy something so expensive. Like that's pretty hardcore.
It was an
I
absolute
respect that.
must, because I knew, like, if I didn't do it now, then it would only get worse over time. Like, it'd become more and more expensive as it became more and more obsolete. So I was like, we'll just do it now, because if I die and I don't have this GameCube, I'm going to die with many regrets.
I can just see it like lineage, like 4 generations passed down. You pass the GameCube down through your grandkids and their grandkids. It's just like this is great grandpa Mathwiz GameCube, Pokemon XD Gold Darkness.
Yes.
Never sell it. Learn the lesson, kids.
Yes.
So we're at Gen 5.
Gen
right?
5.
Now.
Yeah.
So black and white.
Yeah, Gen 5. It was just, I guess, bad timing, just because, like, I didn't socialize with as many people, so the opportunities that Pokemon presented didn't have as much merit. So
well, I think at this point for both of us, because we're the same age, that it's not cool anymore when Gen 5's out. It's no longer cool.
Yeah. I think that was a big part of it. It was never something like I wanted to fit in and do what everybody else was doing. At least with regards to Pokemon, I wanted to fit in a lot of other ways, but with Pokemon, it was never really something that, like, I mean, part of it was like it wasn't cool, so I guess I didn't bring it in because of that. But I never really had like the opportunities to just use it at school, is because like I wasn't doing this after school thing anymore, and I was just like, people were talking about other things, so it was more like it just wasn't in the topic of discussion, so it just wasn't something that came to mind. And then when I was playing it at home just by myself, it wasn't the same.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You start again.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry, I thought you had something to say.
No, I'll wait.
So, like I said, I had sold away the games that I had. I gave them away. And it wasn't until X and Y that I got back into it. Because, like, I don't know what it was. Like, I don't really have a problem with the Pokemon now, but it was just, like, something about the game also didn't really stick with me. I really don't know what it was, because if I look back on it now, I think the story is possibly one of the best. I think that N is one of the best characters in the Pokemon universe out of any of the games. I think the Pokemon are great. Like, Joltik is one of my favorites. It's just this cute little, like, electric spider tick thing, and it's just adorable. I want to hug it. And then probably
You don't want to hug it. No, you do not.
No, I don't. It would electrocute me, and I'd probably be dead. But it would be worth dying for. But yeah, I don't know. It was just something. I think it was mainly just like a mentality sort of thing. Like, it wasn't.
No.
As
That's very
relevant to
common. I
me,
feel like
and
Gen
so-
5 is a common point where people get off of it. Now this is
And, like,
my most regrettable phase in gaming during this era, is where I become a Call of Duty and Madden boy. So
dude, you are me. You are me.
For about 3 years.
Literally me.
3 years. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 1
Yes.
and Madden 12. That's my life. Those games are my life for a year. You are me. We are the same person. I think we realize this every conversation we have is we're the same.
Basically.
Well, so you had this too? Because these were the cool games. I got really into them too. These were the cool games. Were you the same way?
Well, I was always kind of into sports games growing up, because like I played baseball a lot, so I was really into sports and whatnot. I was a big sports junkie growing up, and it was only until like high school that I kind of started falling out with that. But with Call of Duty, I was so out of my depth with Call of Duty. It was not the kind of game that I wanted to be playing, but it was popular, and it was something to do with my friends, because like I didn't really go outside a lot, so we would just kind of, most of what I did with friends was just play video games, and Call of Duty was, the relevant video game at the time. So like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, the zombies I'll still go back and play, because Black Ops 1 zombies I think is great, but like the multiplayer, I don't give a fuck about that.
This is funny because this is how I could tell I was out of my depth too, because the only game mode I ever truly enjoyed was Sticks and Stones, which is like the most like strategic game of it all, because it's just you get a crossbow and like a knife and that's it.
Yeah.
And you just have to kill each other. It's like the least like bro version of Call of Duty. I'm like, this is the cool one. This is screw the other ones. I didn't even like the game that much. Madden I got more into. Madden I was like deep into it. And this is the Wii era. So I'm like, screw the Wii, 360 is where it's at. Sell almost all my games but one. But then like after a few years, I look back and I'm like, I have 3 Call of Duty games, I have 3 Madden games, none of which are even playable now. They're no fun anymore because the new ones are out already. I haven't bought the new ones. But I can look over to all of my Nintendo games, N64, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, Wii, the ones that are left, they're still fun today. And that's like where I like took like a heel turn towards the good side. I repented. And I'm like, you know what? Longevity matters more than like bro hype at this point. And I sold it all. I became a brand new good boy, and I'm proud of it.
That's the thing about like those sports games, like the Call of Duty stuff. If you try to sell them now, you get like nothing for them. Whereas if you go out to like you can still buy them pretty cheap, especially the sports ones, because with each year they just become obsolete. But with Pokemon, you can still go out. You don't know how bad it is. With Pokemon, you can still get a pretty good value.
I just try to return a bunch of my 360 games so I could buy Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
And GameStop would not even accept my Madden games.
Oh,
it was like, this is worth below 5 cents, which is we won't even. Just keep them.
Yeah.
We'd rather throw them out than take them.
Yeah.
Like, what? They're so worthless. But a Pokemon game, they are still full price today.
Yeah. After all that time, they're still... Because it just really shows even, what's cool at the times versus what's cool long term. We Pokemon nerds, we are where it's at.
So yeah, at this point, I'm like a fake boy because I still love Pokemon. Like I can't hide it, but it's like I hide it still. So everything I do Pokemon is on emulators, and it's like I don't bring it anywhere. I try to experience Black and White in emulator. I have a DS, I can buy it, but no, because that's not cool. And so for this whole era, I'm a closeted Pokemon fan until the day I broke back out, which is not too long ago. But so Black and White, you play it, not a big fan, and you don't buy Black and White 2, or you buy Black and White 2?
That wasn't until after I got back into Pokemon that I bought the sequel.
So not during then. So not like as it's coming out. You're out.
I'm out.
You're like me. You're just you're a posing gamer boy. Getting rad kill shots and whatever. I'm watching Call of Duty YouTubers. Like this is the most regretful stage of my life, becoming a bro gamer when my roots are in Nintendo. I hate it. But I can see why people turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I actually take it a step further because this was around the time when I started getting into YouTube because I was watching all of these Call of Duty and like sports commentators doing their stuff, and I thought I could do this. So my earliest roots on YouTube, well, technically my earliest roots were with wrestling, but my first actual like commentary roots were with Call of Duty. I have an old channel called Clutch Shot 219. I don't know where I came up with the name. I think I just made it up on the fly. But the commentaries are so bad. The footage is bad because I didn't have a capture card, so I just used a camera that had a video feature in it. And I used my built-in mic on my laptop. All the gameplays are terrible because I sucked at Call of Duty. But for like a solid 6 months in like 2012, I made videos on this channel.
I'm glad I roped this out of you. 2012 Minecraft comes out beta or alpha. So I get deep into alpha Minecraft and YouTubers on Minecraft back in 2012. I was on there first. Like I got out of Minecraft when it actually came out in 2014. I'm done with it now. I've played it for 2 years already. Like that I was deep into Minecraft then. Like I'm trying to be a PC gamer with a boy with like his mom's laptop. Like I don't even know computers and I'm trying to be in PC while there's a perfectly good Wii GameCube over there. I could be playing, but nope, playing Minecraft, playing Killing Floor, trying to play Bad Company 2, like I know anything about this. I don't know why this phase is very weird to me, but yeah, Minecraft is a big deal on YouTube and in my life for a good year, 2 years. I'm glad I roped out this. You even said the channel name so people can find it, right?
Oh yeah. The videos are still up. I recently, I had no real filter on like what I uploaded, so I privated a lot of the stuff. But there's still a fair amount of videos up there that, I mean, and like you can tell too, because like my voice is super quiet. It was really like before I actually started to I guess find my own voice, because it wasn't until I started my Mathwiz97 channel, which is like my other main one. It for the longest time was my main channel until I started the anime thing, and that just blew up. So
yes,
yeah, it was. It's a part of my life, the whole Call of Duty thing, that I regret, but at the same time, there was at least like a little, there's a little, to make a Pokemon reference, there's a little gold nugget in there that I was able to kind of, it had some value in there, because it kickstarted my YouTube career. So if I hadn't made that channel, I probably wouldn't have, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So at the very least, I was able to sell some of that off and walk away with the cash that is my YouTube audience. That metaphor kind of got away, but yeah.
Yes, sure. So this phase of mine last the entire Wii era, mostly. Maybe Brawl comes out, I come back to Brawl for heavy. That's like the biggest thing. I think post Brawl, so 2010 and 2012, end of 2012, no, probably 13, because then Wii U is out, and at first I'm like, Wii U's gay, Nintendo's gay, but then I keep looking over the aisle, and then I'm seeing like Wind Waker HD and Pikmin 3 and all these games, and I'm like, what? This actually looks pretty good, actually. What? Wait, what Call of Duty sucks now? I haven't bought one since the first Black Ops. Like I hate the games now. I can't play anything. I'm trying to get in NBA 2K because now I'm a basketball boy, and I'm just like, you know what? No. So when I pick up Wii U, that starts the flood of just Pokemon, Nintendo back into my life 100%. So do you have a moment like that too, where it just flips the switch?
Yeah, I really think because I have always been into the Mystery Dungeon games of Pokemon, the little spin-offs. Those I think I love even more than the main series games, just because.
Let's go into that. Go into
Okay.
your love of that series. Just dive in, because I can keep up a little bit, but I'm kind of a little. I've only played the first Red on Game Boy Advance and the newest one on 3DS. So it's Super Mystery Dungeon. Those are the only ones I've played a good amount of that I could say I could talk on. I want to hear why this series is so good. We need to convince people. Let them know.
Yeah. So the reason why you should play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is because what I liked about it was that it follows more of like a. I was really fascinated by the idea that like you become a Pokemon. Like it's kind of like breaking conventions, kind of like what the Gale of Darkness and Coliseum games did, but even more so because like you're not catching Pokemon, you are the Pokemon, and you're going on these explorations you're building a team, but like in a different way, and it follows this more. I thought the stories the storylines were better in the Mystery Dungeon games. I don't know exactly what it is.
You just said that you like this series more than main series Pokemon, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. Now I know the big appeal of this is story, characters mostly.
Yes, characters definitely.
Immersion, dialogue, writing. Now in the first one, I was a kid, so I didn't really I liked it, but it wasn't really clicking. And then this newest one, I'm coming back to the franchise. It's like so easy and bloated, and the story is so plain and safe. Did I miss the good part?
Personally, my favorite is Blue and Red Rescue Team, but everybody always says that Sky Time Darkness is like the golden era of like Mystery Dungeon games. I think what really sold me on like these games was like I remember the moment very clearly. I was at my cousin's house, and it was like late at night, and everybody else was asleep, but I was sitting here trying to finish my playthrough of Pokemon Blue Rescue Team, and it gets to like the conclusion of the story, and it was so sad, and I had like tears streaming down my face, and I was like, this is amazing. And then when I found out there were sequels, I was just like, well, I got to get on that because this is fantastic. But I found that like Gates to Infinity was what got me back into Pokemon, because I was finding I found this YouTuber called Maryland, who for a while
everyone knows Maryland. He's
yeah.
a classic staple of Pokemon YouTubing. He's been here for 10 years, 11 years?
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. He was back in the days of, recording with camcorders and whatnot.
Yeah, I would watch his Mystery Dungeon Let's Plays, and he was really good at like committing to the story, not brushing it away.
Yes, yeah. I think like he really did just commit to it. Because I think the other YouTuber who I tried watching was Shofu, but he was more laid back. He was more like comedic, less committed to the story aspect of it, which is why I gravitated towards Maryland.
Maryland
not that Shofu's content is bad, but
yeah, it's just a different. Maryland's good at finding the appeal of that game, that franchise specifically, and showing it, because he does different voices, and like it's really goofy, but it's also just really like good at conveying the core conceit of why these games are fun and people like them. Yeah.
So I didn't own Gates to Infinity. I never actually bought it until like late last year, but I watched his playthrough of it, because that's how I got introduced to his channel, was through Gates to Infinity. And the story was pretty simplistic. The gameplay, I think Super Mystery Dungeon is a bit more difficult than Gates to Infinity, because Gates to Infinity, from what I've heard, by all accounts, is like the easiest and the most boring of the Mystery Dungeon games. And I'm almost surprised that they were able to come back from that, because Super Mystery Dungeon does have its problems, but I guess I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Gates to Infinity, I think it was more so like nostalgia reasons, and just the fact that like at the time I was like just getting into like high school, so I was still at that super emotional, edgy teenage years where like I was still trying to find myself. So the ending of that one got me all teared up, and I was like, oh, I've been missing so much with Pokemon, and I need to get back to it. Even though the story, like if I go back to it now, it's not as engaging as some of the older
You're in
ones.
high school though. You are in high school now, so
yeah,
we're getting there. We're getting there. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, would you say then has the most powerful nostalgic hold on you? Like you think back on that, and just by the memories alone, tears can fall.
I think there definitely is nostalgia there, but I honestly think like it's the type of game that it is and the type of story it conveys that stands out to me more than just because I think my opinions of the mainstream Pokemon games are more steeped in nostalgia, because I have more memories of playing with other people with that. But the Mystery Dungeon games are more, they're less about playing with other people, so I feel as though there weren't as many like memories with peers that I was able to form. So it was more just like myself investing in the story, and I thought that the stories, especially for the first two, for the Rescue Team games and then Explorers of Time and Darkness, I think those two stories were magnificent. They were wonderful.
I think I need to be more clear by comment about this tear-jerking nostalgia. For me, like if I listen to any like there's a couple songs on that Pokemon album that came out in the 90s. If I listen to them and I just let my guard down, just the entire experience of Pokemon comes back to me, and I'm like, no, I hate real world. Just bring me back. Like that's what it takes for me to get into it. So we're entering 3DS territory now. Now, are you on the bandwagon early on? You late to it?
Well, from what I am aware, X and Y were not, like, they were kind of late to the 3DS party, because I think the 3DS came out shortly after Black and White.
Yes.
So I was definitely late to the 3DS party, but I was right on the hype for X and Y. I actually have my 3DS. I have a 3DS XL, and it's X and Y themed, which is another one of my. Now that one I'm not. No. That one's not going anywhere.
No, real quick trip to GameStop, Math. You know, to get over there. You know, just sell it. It'll be like $20.
No, I'm not the same moron I was when I sold my GameCube. I will take this game. I will take this DS to my grave.
So you come back strong with X and Y. Does it disappoint you, or are you back in even more?
I think when X and Y came around, I was really invested in. I was just really invested in it. I can recall. I think usually, like, at least lately, I haven't been really like marathoning games or like obviously Sun and Moon. I haven't even really played it, but X and Y.
Sun and Moon's really good.
Yeah, X and Y. I marathoned. I basically marathoned that game. I watched like 2 different Let's Plays of it, all in like the span of shortly after it came out. So I was the Pokemon nostalgia was back in full force. I think when it started getting around to like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was when things kind of started to sour again for me, although not nearly to the same degree as it was before, because I'm still thoroughly invested in Pokemon. But like, I think the idea of Mega Evolution, it has kind of, I think it's run its course. I think even in X and Y, I wasn't a big fan of the Mega Evolution, but I thought just everything else to it, just bringing back the old Pokemon nostalgia vibes. I just thought X and Y was incredible.
Yeah, they are moving away from Mega Evolutions. It's not even in the main story of Sun and Moon. It's not even an option.
Thank God.
It's only an after game thing. It's Z moves now. It's Z moves. I'm still not on the bandwagon, but mainly reason is I picked a Wii U instead of 3DS. I had only a certain amount of money, and I bought a Wii U instead. Weirdly, I know that's an odd. No one says that. So but that means I'm back on Nintendo's train. I'm in there. I got Super Mario 3D World, Donkey Kong Country, Wind Waker, Pikmin 3. I'm on there. Mario Kart 8.
Oh yeah.
So now it's like when there's a Pokemon game available next, I'm on it immediately. And so I had to wait. X and Y waited a while until Omega Ruby came out. I'm like, oh, that's my game. That's my generation. So I think I wait till the new 3DS comes out until I pick mine up. So that's like a few months after that game comes out. But when I buy my new 3DS, I started with Omega Ruby. I'm like, okay, that's the one. Buying that. And now at that point, once I play that, I play X and Y. Finally get back to that, which I actually like Omega Ruby more than X and Y. I feel like X and Y story is so garbage to me that it's like it made everything not battling a slog.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially like the idea of the rival just really doesn't exist anymore. Like maybe it does in Sun and Moon because I haven't really played much of it. But
what was
I've
that?
seen of how, I don't really think so. But at least for X and Y, you've got your group of friends and they're all garbage. Like even like your main rival person doesn't. It's just the other the gender you don't choose. There's nothing noteworthy about it.
Yeah, what happened to Barry?
Yeah. What happened
How is okay. He's better than all the X and Y ones. And he's a competent trainer. He's got a little more to him, but it's definitely not satisfactory in what you're talking about, which I sympathize with.
Yeah.
But then you have like an Omega Ruby story is the same, so it's not like gripping as it's the same as the first game. But I guess maybe nostalgia wins out. My thing with X and Y is the region has like no identity. It's just random, and the Pokemon choices are just random. There's no identity to it. It just feels like this is Pokemon blank. Like it doesn't even matter. X and Y, what theme is that? I think that's the main issue I have with it. It just feels like we just crammed as much random stuff as we could into one game, and it lacks like that connective tissue that a lot of the other games have. That's why Sun and Moon's great, because it has the Hawaii connective tissue. It has that one thing that kind of runs through the whole thing as like a vein through the whole series.
X and Y did a lot to like experiment, I guess, with the Pokemon formula, because like you have the introduction of Mega Evolution, you have the big graphical switch up, you have there's like all of the more online features, so you have like wonder trading and all that stuff. So I think it really does kind of it does suffer a bit because it doesn't have that strong identity. Like you can't really look at it like you could any other generation and be
like,
at least
Team Flare is the worst.
Oh yeah,
Team Flare is the worst team out of all of them.
I don't really know what their gimmick is, because like they're Team Flare, so you think like fire, but then they're like about fashion. I think like I don't like, at least like one thing I like about Sun and Moon is Team Skull. Like they're entertaining.
And they're great too. Yeah, Sun and Moon does it. Sun and Moon definitely, like, if X and Y I played it several times. I just have to pick my teams and everything. But it definitely X and Y was just lesser to me. But my big problem with a lot of the new games, and this is Sun and Moon's problem too, is that there is nothing in the after game. They just kind of end the game, and there's like 5 things to do. When Platinum, Emerald, you have this like huge, expansive new island to travel, and like,
yeah,
it's the greatest thing ever.
I never really.
Or Kanto in Gold and Silver.
Well, like I did, other than like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where you go to like the Kanto region, and like that's a whole other thing. But I've never really been a big post game guy, because like we said earlier, I would play through the game, beat the Elite Four, reset, and that was me for the longest time. So I've never really been big into the Pokemon post game. So that wasn't really an issue for me, I suppose. But
well, I mean post game as in like continuing plot after you beat the Elite Four, which Fire Red has. Which Fire Red's really cool because it sets up the plot for Gen 4. Like you're going to like hidden rocket hideouts on the Sevi Islands when like that are building up after Giovanni left, and you fight like some of the generals or whatever they call them, like the red hair girl, I think you fight in Fire Red.
Oh,
like,
really?
It's just so cool. Why can't they have more of that? And then maybe there's hints at Gen 4 remakes in Sun and Moon. We'll see if that happens. Sun and Moon was better when it comes to after game than the X and Y and Omega Ruby. But there's hints, but I don't know if it's like the same. It's not really setting it up for a new thing. Part of me gets disappointed in that. I don't know.
Get back in on these old Pokemon post games, because like I can remember playing a little bit of Leaf Greens, but I definitely didn't complete it. Like I think I would just kind of get bored, and then I just reset because I wanted to play the adventure again. I'm with you. That's me. Even Platinum has an entirely new island, like a new continent to traverse, and there's this whole story, and then you catch Heatran, and you fight, team whatever still. It's just so good. Why can't they do that more? Stop it. They better do it. And this Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, this weird garbage, weird game, they better give me more. I like the idea that they said that it's going to have like a different storyline, because that's what made the Black and White 2 sequels so good, was that they have a different story. Like it's not like Platinum is great, but it is just sort of rehashing and I guess fleshing out more and the same goes with like Emerald and I guess probably Crystal, but I haven't really played a whole lot of that. But like how it's just the same region, the same story, just different details, which I'm not saying is necessarily.
The fact that they didn't say it's a sequel makes me think it's kind of like the Platinum, where it's just a retelling, a different retelling, which I'd rather a sequel.
Yeah.
So now X and Y you like, Omega Ruby less like, Sun and Moon hype leading up to that. Where are you on the hype meter?
The thing with Sun and Moon was I'm still, for the most part, in the dark about it, because I intentionally avoided all of the pre-release stuff. Like I avoided as much of it as I could, because I didn't want to. Like I don't even know what Pokemon are in it, because like I was that away from it, and that wasn't because like I was disinterested in it. This time it was just because, well, with X and Y I completely bought into the hype, and that was fun. But with Sun and Moon, I wanted to, because like there was all these Alolan forms coming out and whatnot, and I figured, well, they're doing all of this, so I think I want to try to surprise myself. I want to go back to more of like the older days of Pokemon where I had no clue what I was getting into. So eventually I will get to it, and I'll have that blind experience. But I'd still say that
they revealed every Pokemon in the game by the time it was out. They revealed every new one, so that's good. You went in blind.
Yeah. I still have, like, I'm excited to play it. It's just a matter of finding the time and I guess the definitive motivation to play it, because I've been busy with other things. But I'm definitely excited to get into Sun and Moon. It's just a matter of when am I going to do it.
Did you play Pokemon Go? Were you in that?
I had avoided it for the longest time, but then some of my coworkers got into it like right before it died. So I did get into Pokemon Go a bit. I dabbled some.
I dabbled too.
There was this one time, one of the funniest things I think happened because of Pokemon Go was we were going to this like amusement park just to find things, and they had told me to like wear sneakers, but I guess I just forgot. So I was wearing like Crocs, and so we're walking down the street and it's late at night, and we walk past this signpost and I like stubbed my toe, and that was fun. But nothing really eventful from Pokemon Go for me.
that was a great. You like stub your toe as you stubbed the story. It was great. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
That's analysis of your story there. So we've caught up to present day. What do you want from the future of Pokemon? Where do you want it? And what form?
Well, you said they're doing away with Mega Evolution, so I do like that. I think I'd like to get away from, like, you talked about Z moves. I don't really know what they are, but just by like the name of it, I'm already sort of like, I don't know how I feel about
I can
that.
explain it. So Z move, it's a held item.
Okay.
It's like a crystal that you give to a Pokemon based on like a typing. So let's say your Gardevoir has a Psychic move, Psychic for instance. You give it a Psychic Z crystal. That means for once in that battle, you can make Gardevoir pretty much do a final smash version of that move and wreck shop, essentially. But it is based on the move you use. So if you used the Psychic Shard on like Confusion, it'd be a much weaker final smash because it's not the strongest Psychic. So it's kind of like that.
Okay.
It just kind of like cool animation plus 100 to the move's power. That's essentially it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound like something I'll really get into.
It's not really that interesting, nor is it invasive though. So unlike Mega Evolutions, it's not really invasive to I think the meta game. So
yeah,
that's the one good thing.
That was the big issue with me, because like even in like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, like I think at least Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, how you go up against the Omega Kyogre or Groudon was okay, but like X and Y, how it was like completely integrated in the story and like you had to use Mega Evolution, because like you have to use the held item and I can't use what I want if I want to Mega Evolve, so like it felt more like a gimmick. And like with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they just made more and more and more Mega Evolutions, and I was like, okay, this is too much, I don't want this, and you're making it worse. So I guess I would say moving forward, what you said about Z moves, it is a bit better, but I don't think it's for me. I'll probably just avoid those.
I don't know how they're gonna, because it seems to be in a Alolan specific like ritual Z moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's ancient relics you find in Alola. Like that's all it is. So I don't know how they're gonna continue it further if they leave that region. Do you want these games to stay on handheld 3DS, or do you want us finally let's get rid of this 240p garbage and let's move to Switch already? Is that something you'd like?
I think I'd rather keep it on the handhelds, because like if you switch to consoles and have a main release, like a Pokemon main release on like the Nintendo Switch, I don't feel like it'd be the same.
It is.
Like,
I mean,
Pokemon,
it's a handheld home console though. You can't take it anywhere.
Yeah, I guess that is true. So I guess that experience of you can take Pokemon anywhere and connect with anybody is still there. But then I feel like, well, for me at least, like if you take Pokemon away from the like the handheld consoles, then I mean, it is possible that Nintendo just doesn't have plans for future handhelds because of like the Switch it's like both, and if they can just make that work, then the more power to them.
A lot of people are disappointed that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are not Switch games, at least as well or exclusively. They're just 3DS games. And I just want to clear up one thing that really bothers me about this is it's not Nintendo's decision to put those games where they go. It's Pokemon companies. They run independently from Nintendo. And it makes sense because like that's where 60-something, 70 million people are on the 3DS. But in the future, if I can get Pokemon HD and it kind of confuse like the world of XD Glow of Darkness, but with the mechanics of Pokemon, because it has the graphical like capability to like make the world more grand, then I'm all for it. I would love to see it evolve that way, to make it more, I don't know, blockbustery, grand kind of experience, as well as still that core mechanic, because that's my main gripe with those games is it just doesn't feel like Pokemon. That's fair. I don't know. That's a good point, having it in like HD, but because it's already 3D.
I still feel like there's something that we'd be losing by switching to a console. Like, I guess I'm not against it, but like I'm also not.
I think the thing we lost, because I was telling this earlier, I think the thing we lost we already did when from the move to 2D to 3D. Like,
yeah, that's a good point too. So
we already lost it.
Yeah, I guess in that case, like
it's gonna be 3D anyway, so might as well make it look better than Sun and Moon.
Yeah, and if the Switch is portable, then I mean,
I don't
really,
know.
It's still there. So I guess I'm a bit on the fence about it, but like if we got a main console Pokemon game, like I'd probably get the Switch just for that.
I would be interested to see it, because I don't know after 3DS. Is there anything after that, or is it dead forever and now it's just one console? Get the Pokemon games on there and get your like Zeldas, because again, I think if we're gonna do 3D, because X and Y especially, it's like grid based still, and it's very like just clunky 3D. Might as well commit to making it also look good. And then again, it makes Pokemon games way harder to make, and thus they can't come out as frequently because HD game development is like 20 times harder than 3DS development. So I don't know. At least the Gen 4 remakes. Give me the Gen 4 remakes on Switch. That's all I want. Kill me.
That would be interesting to have that, because like it would still have like the nostalgia factor of being previous games, but then just having it on a different, like having it on a console rather than like on the handheld. That would be
here's why
I don't know if that would,
because we have Fire Red and Leaf Green on Game Boy Advance, so we have a remake there because it was on the previous generation, right?
Yeah.
And then our next remake we get is on DS, previous generation. Then the next remake we get is on 3DS, Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Again, from a game from the previous generation, or two ago, actually, at this point. And now, like, we already had a 3DS remake. Are we just going to have another remake for 3DS? Because then the difference between DS and 3DS graphically isn't as huge as would be from DS to Switch. That's where it's like, would the remake even matter if it's just that small bit of a leap than something really big? Like it looks like we get one remake per console generation. It seems that's how they're doing it. They get sick of the other stuff. I don't know. I'm excited. I want to see more spin-offs, more Risk. That's why I like Pokemon Tournament. It's just a weird, silly Risk that they're doing with a different genre. But I want a Pokemon Snap 2 as well. I want a game like XD Gale of Darkness that is a little more streamlined, so I can get into it more easily than going back to GameCube.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Pokemon take more risks, because if they hadn't done that before, I wouldn't have gotten Coliseum and Gale of Darkness. I wouldn't have gotten Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and even
Magikarp
just like some of
Jump.
the other games that didn't appeal to me quite as much, but were still fun, like Pokemon Ranger. That was kind of interesting, although it's not one that sticks out to me. The only other Pokemon
they can afford it now too. Like 2016's like what I think they said 26 times more profitable than the year before.
Well,
So
yeah,
I think they have the money and the expense. They have the financials to really, spread their wings a little bit. Now that Pokemon Go just won the world over. Yeah, Pokemon, pretty cool. I don't know if you watch Sun and Moon anime. Have you? Have you watched the Sun and Moon anime?
I haven't watched it yet, but like I've seen clips of it, and at very first the animation change like threw me off, but like now that I've seen more, I've gotten more information about it, and like I actually see some of it in action. It does look cool, but I've never really been a Pokemon anime guy, so
yeah. But now you're an anime boy, so
that is true. So maybe there's a chance that I could hop in there.
Now it's not just Pokemon. You're also an anime boy now. You're in the game. You're in there. Okay, I don't know if you have any other thoughts. We definitely have a good length here. I'm happy with about the series in general. Any other stories you'd like to say? I only try to.
I guess one other little side comment that I wanted to add was because how the last Grindcast was all about guidebooks, and I thought it was interesting because I don't have really any guidebooks, but I have one for the Blue and Red Rescue Team games. I have the guidebook for that, and I don't know. That's the only guidebook I have, but it's like for a while I like lived by that because I loved the idea of how you could based on your answers in like the personality quiz, you could change what starter you would be. So that was fun. I would exploit that to get whatever starter I wanted, but that's really the only real thing I used it for.
When Lachlan said that, I was like, someone else? What? Someone else was just as obsessed with them as I was? Again, like I would buy guides to games, Pokemon games I didn't own just because I wanted to. I yearned for it. Might as well have the guide at least.
Yeah.
Might as well just have that to like satiate the urge. And it was like Battle Revolution, which no one liked apparently. It's like the Stadium of the Wii era, Pokemon Stadium of the Wii era, with way less content. But I don't know. Pokemon, all my money. That's the thing. Like people are complaining about this, and so am I. There's a little lackluster announcement on the Direct the other day, but I'm gonna buy them all. I don't know who am I trying to fool. Like they're all mine.
Yeah, take all my money, Nintendo. Just here, take my social security number. You can just have it.
Just take them. I wish Nintendo just did like a $60 a month like subscription where I just got the games. Like I will give you it. Don't worry. Just give me it, because essentially it is that. I have to put in the work to buy it. Just I don't even want to think. Just give me all your video games. I don't care. Pokemon Tournament, I'll buy it again. I already have it on Wii U. They added 5 new characters. Okay, I guess I'll buy it again for another $60. Spend $120 on this stupid franchise that's going to die after this entry. But whatever. Pokemon in the title. Ugh.
I could imagine just hardcore gamers listening to this and be like, what are you doing? You're killing the gaming industry by just selling your souls to Pokemon.
It was a long time ago the soul was sold. It was very early on. I didn't have a choice. It was an early on soul selling. I put up for auction the second I played Fire Red. I'm like, you know what? This is my life now. I remember, you know what? I remember like making like quizzes for my friends about Pokemon stats and things. Like I got really into just knowing. There was one point I could name all of the first 3 gen Pokemon. Like I could do that off the top of my head. Maybe I could do it today. I doubt it. I bet I'd forget some, but at one point I could. Like I was deep into it. Well, I think I didn't do any Twitter thing today, so I think that's it for the Grindcast. This is going to be probably longer than Lachlan's. So nice job, Mathwiz, coming in with the good stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I could be on. And before we go, I might as well. I mean, I've already plugged my Pokemon playthroughs, but I'm gonna plug them again. I recently did one on Coliseum, Gale of Darkness. So if you want more of me talking about Pokemon, you can check those out on my Mathwiz97X channel. And
Pokemon, go check that out. Go check out my Nuzlocke, because if you're just watching this, which probably more people watch this than the Nuzlocke, the footage you're seeing is from the Nuzlocke, so you kind of already have a step up on knowing what's going on.
Nuzlocke are
And
fun.
so watch
Go
both those
it.
things. Yeah, it's a cool thing. It's cool. Everything Pokemon's cool. Just watch it all. Stop doing everything else. Your Overwatch, your Destiny 2s, Pokemon.
You can become a
all you need.
Pokemon analyst, and you can just analyze a bunch of Let's Plays and a bunch of anime episodes, and just analyze all the Pokemon, all that exists, any of it, in any form. Just do it.
Pokemon Let's Play analysis? Is that what you just started?
Yes, we can analyze all of the... I will make an analysis of the second look Nuzlocke.
No, we did.
And
We
how
kind of
the
did it.
GrindCast is the greatest contribution to any Nuzlocke series.
I hope so. And we kind of analyzed Maryland's Pokemon Gale of Darkness Let's Plays, so we couldn't help ourselves.
Yeah, basically.
ではここで一句ニドランが二度進化して二度キングみんなもポケモンゲットじゃぞ